We talk about God as the creator of the world, creator of the universe, all right? So how big is that? What does that mean when we say God is the creator of the stars in the sky and the planets? Well, let's start with our solar system. In 2006, NASA put into space a new spacecraft called New Horizons that is to date the fastest spacecraft ever created. It is going to reach speeds of 50,000 miles per hour. And I thought the Bugatti was fast. 50,000 miles per hour. It will reach Pluto sometime this July. 9 years later, it will reach Pluto. All right? That's not even the outskirts of our solar system. That's sort of the inner layer of our solar system. All right? So what if it wanted to go further? What if it wanted to reach, let's say, the closest star to us? It would take 80,000 years at that speed to reach the closest star. And so what we already are imagining is that we're talking about vast distances, huge distances. And because those distances are so large, we have to come up with a new way of describing those distances. We use light years. Light travels at 186,000 miles per second, okay? 186,000 miles per second. So if you were to travel around the earth at the speed of light, 1 second, you would circle the earth 7.5 times in 1 second. That's how fast the speed of light is. So if the New Horizons spacecraft were to travel to Pluto at the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second, it would take 5 hours, okay? Versus 9 years at 50,000 miles per hour. So the speed of light is really fast, okay? Hugely fast. So what about reaching our galaxy? Now, our galaxy is made up of 100 billion stars, all right? So it's enormous. If it takes to go the diameter of our solar system would be about 10 hours at the speed of light. How long would it take to get across the diameter of our galaxy that has 100 billion stars? Well, it would take 120,000 years. 120,000 years at 186,000 miles per second. So if a spacecraft could travel the speed of light, it would still take it 120,000 years to cross our galaxy. The issue is that our galaxy is just one of 100,000 galaxies in what's called a cluster of galaxies, a supercluster. In this past summer, some astronomers in Hawaii recreated, because of what they were seeing, a new map of the universe. Rather than just looking at the stars in the skies as being single objects, they looked at their trajectory and their paths and what was around them. And they realized that our galaxies are connected to each other, that they cluster together, and they create what are called superclusters. Our supercluster is called Laniakea. There's 100,000 Milky Ways in Laniakea. And if you wanted to travel the distance of this supercluster, it would take you 500 million light years. Okay? So just across the Milky Way galaxy is going to take 120,000 light years at 186,000 miles per second. To travel across our supercluster, it will take you 500 million light years. Here's what else they found. We're not alone as a supercluster. In fact, there are some 10 million superclusters. And the superclusters tend to connect themselves. As they mapped all this out, the computer spit out this kind of picture of two clusters. The closest cluster to us is Perseus Pisces. And it sort of tendrils out in connection with our supercluster. Now remember, our supercluster, Laniakea, is 500 million light years across. The closest cluster is that size, if not a little bit larger. And there are 10 million of these. And in between them are vast spaces, voids. This is just part of the visible universe. The superclusters, 10 million superclusters, only make up 10% of the visible universe. All right, so each supercluster is 500 million light years across. You put 10 million of these together. And so again, when they put this into a computer and generated what this all looks like, it came out looking like this. This is what our universe looks like. It's a combination of these superclusters. And within these superclusters are galaxies, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of galaxies. And within these galaxies are billions of stars. And within these stars are systems. And within these systems are little tiny planets. And on one little tiny speck, in a speck on a speck, is Earth. And on Earth is you and me. So when they looked at these superclusters, 10 million superclusters all connected with space in between, one of the astronomers said, that looks biological. And then someone said, look at this. And they had a picture of a brain cell under a microscope. Kind of weird to think that we could be in God's head. That blows your mind, doesn't it? So we have this unbelievable expanse of our universe. And God created it. The psalmist says he knows the stars by name. And you better understand then the words of the psalmist who said this, when I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have set in place, what are we that you would be mindful of us? When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon, the stars which you have set in place, what am I that you would be mindful of me?